The police found the garage locked from inside while a family ate dinner, unaware death hung 30 feet away, swaying silently. A normal father kissed his children goodnight, then walked to his garage where 4 women's bodies waited in the darkness. The neighbors smelled something terrible coming from the garage, but nobody could imagine a corpse hung there for weeks.
He served breakfast to his wife every morning, then stepped into his garage where murdered women hung from a hook.
While his children played outside in the yard, Jerry Brudos photographed dead bodies dressed in stolen lingerie inside his garage. Police found the garage locked from the inside. Nobody could explain the smell coming from that ordinary Salem home. Jerry Brudos sat eating dinner while death hung 30 feet away. His wife served potatoes while a corpse swayed on a meat hook. The neighbor children played outside that normal family house. Inside the garage, 4 women would lose their lives over brutal months. This wasn't a random killing spree across scattered locations. This was a father, a husband, eating breakfast before committing murder. January 1939 brought Jerry into a cold world. His mother, Marie, wanted a daughter more than anything alive. Another son arrived, and Marie never forgave that mistake. She showed her disappointment every single day of his childhood. Jerry understood as his mother wished he'd never been born. She loved his older brother James with warmth and affection. Jerry received nothing but contempt and silent psychological torture every day. His father offered no protection from her cruelty at all. 5 years old when the darkness first whispered to him. A junkyard near their Oregon home held discarded adult possessions. Jerry found high-heeled shoes buried in the dirt there. Something unnatural ignited inside that small child's developing mind that afternoon. He brought those shoes home hidden under his shirt. Marie discovered them and unleashed fury he'd never forget completely. She destroyed the shoes but embedded the obsession deeper forever. The forbidden object became his lifelong secret, dangerous compulsion growing. First grade brought him shame when caught stealing shoes. He failed second grade while suffering blinding headaches. Nobody understood. Other children sensed something broken and wrong inside him always. Teachers noticed his strange internal focus on things they couldn't see. Puberty accelerated the rot spreading through his fractured mind. Women's underwear disappeared from neighboring homes throughout the quiet area. Jerry slipped through unlocked windows while families slept peacefully inside. He stole intimate items and wore them alone in darkness. 16 years old when he dug that tunnel completely. The barn underneath held this twisted fantasy of captivity. He imagined keeping a girl prisoner in that hidden space. She would belong to him in that cold underground world. 17, when violence finally erupted into the real world. He lured a girl into his car on a date. She refused his demands and he beat her savagely then. Her broken nose bled while he dragged her from the vehicle. A passing couple saved her life from something far worse. Jerry was arrested and sent to psychiatric evaluation at Oregon. Doctors noted his fantasies about freezing bodies and twisted poses. They released him after 9 months, calling him borderline acceptable. The armor discharged him quietly for reasons never made public. He returned to Oregon and enrolled in electronics training courses, smart and methodical. He learned to build things precisely and patiently. A 17-year-old girl named Darcy believed he was normal. They married and had 2 children in their Salem home. The detached garage became his absolutely forbidden private sanctuary out back. Nobody entered without knocking first, not even his own wife. Light would ruin the photographs he developed in there, he explained. His family accepted this rule because questioning felt too dangerous. Inside that garage hung stolen lingerie and obsessively collected women's shoes. A meat hook bolted into the ceiling beam waited patiently. Ropes and camera equipment filled the shelves along the dark walls. Darkness accumulated there since he was 5 years old, remembering. 1967 brought his first attack on a sleeping woman's home. He strangled her unconscious and raped her while she couldn't resist. He left with several pairs of her shoes as trophies. She survived, but police never connected him to that crime. He walked back inside where his wife and children slept. Nothing stirred inside him. No guilt, no fear, absolutely nothing human. January 26, 1968, brought Linda Slauson to his door. 19 years old, selling encyclopedias door to door for college. She knocked at the wrong house on that cold afternoon. Jerry invited her to see books stored in his garage. She followed him because he seemed safe and normal enough. He hit her from behind with a wooden plank. She crumpled and he strangled her life away completely. His wife and children sat inside the house eating dinner. He suggested they go out for fast food together. They left, and he returned to the garage alone. He dressed her corpse in lingerie from his collection overnight. He photographed her body in the positions he'd always imagined. He drove to the Willamette River and dropped her in. He amputated her left foot and kept it frozen. He put his favorite high heels on that severed foot. He photographed it until decomposition made it useless to him. He discarded it like garbage when he finished with it. Linda Slauson's body never surfaced from that dark river. Her family searched for answers until their own deaths came. 10 months passed with no arrests or suspects anywhere nearby. Jerry ate dinner and waited for the next opportunity, patiently. November 26, 1968, brought Jan Whitney driving home alone. Her car broke down on Interstate 5 between cities. Jerry stopped and offered help to the stranded young woman. She got into his car, trusting his calm, friendly manner. He strangled her before they reached his house that night. Jan Whitney never made it home for a Thanksgiving dinner waiting. Her body hung from that ceiling hook for several days. Jerry moved between garage and kitchen table like different worlds. A car crashed into the house during this time. Police came to document the accident damage and walked around. The smell of decomposition filled the air around that property. A wrapped body sat in the outbuilding just yards away. They noticed absolutely nothing wrong at all there that day. Jerry described this to detectives later with genuine dark amusement. He believed the world was too stupid to see truth. He removed Jan Whitney's right breast and attempted preserving it. The project failed, but he tried to keep it. He weighted her body with a car engine block. He dropped her into the Willamette River like the other. He went inside his house and slept through the night. Spring 1969 brought violence grown more deliberate and bold now. March 27th brought Karen Sprinker to meet her mother downtown. 19 years old and responsible, she never missed family commitments. Her mother waited an hour before calling the police desperately. Witnesses recalled someone large wearing women's clothing on the roof. Jerry Brudos had gone hunting dressed as a woman. He forced Karen into his car at gunpoint that morning. He kept her alive in the garage for a time. He forced her to model clothing from his collection. The camera clicked while she stood in that locked room. Her face showed hollow composure investigators would later describe painfully. She was 19 years old and completely trapped inside there. He hanged her from the ceiling hook when finished. He removed both her breasts after she died completely. He dressed her corpse in a bra far too large. He stuffed it with brown paper towels to look correct. He weighted her body with a 6-cylinder engine head. He bound her with copper wire in his signature knots. He dropped her into the Long Tom River weighted down. She had been meeting her mother for lunch that day. He was accelerating now with gaps between killings compressing fast. 2 more abduction attempts failed in the following weeks completely. One girl bit his thumb and escaped his grip, recalibrated and tried again without hesitation or doubt. April 23, 1969 brought Linda Sally shopping for a gift. 22 years old and meeting her boyfriend that evening. A man approached her in the parking garage holding something. It appeared to be a police badge made of metal. He told her she was suspected of shoplifting from stores. He said she needed to come with him immediately now. The badge was fake, but she didn't know that yet. She complied and was brought back to Salem garage, bound and left alone in darkness while Jerry ate dinner. She didn't scream because she believed cooperation would save her. It did not save her from what came next. He returned and subjected her to prolonged electrical torture devices. He hanged her and weighted her body like the others. He dropped her into the Long Tom River, also weighted. She landed within 50 feet of where Karen Sprinker lay. The same river, the same wire, the same careful knots. This is where everything finally unraveled around him completely. Not because Jerry made some dramatic, careless mistake at all, but because he couldn't stop himself from continuing the pattern. He began calling dormitory rooms at Oregon State University, pretending most women hung up on the lonely Vietnam veteran voice. One agreed to meet him but didn't like what appeared. She reported it, and police began connecting the pattern slowly. May 10, 1969 brought a fisherman's horrible discovery downstream. Linda Sally pulled from the Long Tom River that morning. 2 days later, police divers found Karen Sprinker 50 feet away. Both women bound with identical copper wire and identical knots, weighted with engine components suggesting someone who worked with hands. Detectives visited sororities and dormitories at Oregon State University now. Within days, the description of a strange older man, the student who had met him, came forward with information. She arranged another meeting with police, watching and waiting nearby. Jerry Brudos arrived expecting a young woman for company. He found 2 detectives instead of his intended victim there. He stayed calm, cooperative, almost bored by the whole situation. His record came back clean enough to satisfy them initially. The detectives let him leave, but something bothered them deeply. Nylon rope visible in the back of his car suggested vague references to unspecified problems in his past raised concern. Some quality they couldn't name made them go back again. They pulled his record further and drove to Center Street. He was found hiding under a blanket and back. His wife drove away from the house not knowing anything. May 30th, 1969 brought Jerry Brudos into custody finally. They processed him at the station and made a discovery. He was wearing women's underwear beneath his normal clothes completely. A search warrant for the garage produced what investigators never forgot. Dozens of Polaroid photographs of the dead women hanging there. Some posed standing, some hanging, all wearing high heels. All taken inside that room while his family lived nearby. In one photograph, a mirror was placed on the floor. The reflection showed the hand holding the camera, his hand, a resin molds, the meat hook, copper wire everywhere inside, rope tied in those same knots throughout the space. The smell that the walls had absorbed and kept forever. He confessed over 3 days freely without much resistance at all, but detectives noted he never once lost his appetite completely. He described the deaths of 4 women between meal bites. He became animated when the conversation turned to shoes finally. Lingerie and photographs excited him like discussing proud achievements instead. One detective asked him directly about remorse for the girls. Jerry Brudos picked up a piece of paper slowly. He crumpled it into a ball and dropped it down. "That much," he said, without any emotion showing at all. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. Jan Whitney, Karen Sprinker, Linda Soler received justice partially finally. He was never charged with the murder of Linda Sloss, and her body was never recovered from the Dark River water. The photographs showed only her lower legs and feet. Not enough to prosecute him for that particular killing legally. 3 consecutive life sentences with no parole coming ever, truly. His wife Darcy was briefly charged as an accomplice mistakenly. A neighbor claimed to have seen her helping force someone. The testimony was torn apart at trial and completely dismissed. There was no credible evidence she had known anything whatsoever. She was acquitted and then changed her name immediately after. She moved somewhere unknown and obtained a court order permanently. Her children were prevented from ever contacting their father again. Whatever she felt the first time she understood the garage, though that knowledge and pain belongs to her alone completely now. Jerry Brudos attended parole hearings for decades without success, ever. And everyone, the families of his victims, were there waiting. They showed up every time because their presence mattered desperately. They understood their presence was the only weight holding shut. He was told formally in 1995 that he'd die. He kept attending hearings anyway, seeking attention and validation, always. He gave interviews and remained to the end fascinated. A man who found himself endlessly interesting and important somehow. March 28, 2006 brought liver cancer and death finally. 67 years old, dying in the prison infirmary bed. He died in a bed which was more than given. Linda Slosson's body was never recovered from the river below. Her family never got to bury her properly anywhere. The Long Tom River eventually gave up Karen Sprinker's body. The Willamette gave up Jan Whitney 1 month after conviction. 1 mile downstream from where he said he'd put her. Identified by dental records because nothing else remained recognizable then. That is what endures about Jerry Brudos in memory. A man who might stop on a cold November evening. Your car had broken down and you were alone there. You just needed someone decent to pull over and help. It was the worst possible answer to that particular hope. And nobody saw it coming because nobody ever does.